Let us suppose that some pharaoh or other named John Geoffrey lived peacefully and with full satisfaction and ruled over the Egyptians. Well, once this same king or pharaoh John Geoffrey felt a very great weariness from this reigning of his, and one sleepless night, having pondered over his kingly position, first of all constated and realized with all his being that, wish it or not, one grows tired of reigning, and that this occupation in general is an extremely trying job, and could not be said to be, for his personal felicity, either useful or safe. The pharaoh John Geoffrey became impressed with this realization, and profiting by the experience of his existence in the past, decided to try and find out how to prevail upon someone or other, so that this other might deliver him from the said, for him, undesirable weariness. To this end, he probably invited some or other still ordinary John Geoffrey to come to him, and in a very polite way spoke to him roughly as follows: "My highly honorable and incomparably kind John Geoffrey, I frankly confess to you, as to my only friend and subject worthy of my trust, that this kingdom over which I rule has already grown too wearisome for me, and this has happened perhaps because I am already extremely tired. As regards my dear son and heir, to whom I might now hand over the kingdom, he, speaking between ourselves, is, in spite of his very strong and healthy appearance, in fact, neither one nor the other. You, as a father, known for his love for his posterity, will surely understand if I tell you that I very much love my son and heir, and that I would not like him to reign and get tired as I have. Wherefore I have just decided to propose to you, as a faithful subject and personal friend, to deliver me and my son from reigning, and to take this high obligation upon yourself. And since evidently this still ordinary John Geoffrey was firstly, as is said there, a good sport, and secondly, being a rascal who had much vanity, he, with tears in his eyes, shrugged his shoulders. If I must be lost, then let me be lost, consented, and from the very next day began to reign. As the family name of this second John Geoffrey was different, therefore on the very next day the number of Egyptian dynasties was increased by yet one more. And so, as many pharaohs of this Egypt often grew tired, and, loving their sons, did not desire the same for them, they renounced their kingdoms in this way to others, and hence so many dynasties piled up there. In reality, however, the change of dynasty in this Egypt did not proceed so simply, and in the intervals between two dynasties there proceeded such perturbations in comparison with which this contemporary Bolshevism is merely child's play. In the heat of this contemporary Bolshevism, I happened several times to be an eyewitness of the sincere indignation of several of those who, for some reasons, of course personally independent of them, did not happen to take part in this same process, and would therefore half-consciously observe from the outside, and with all their presences grow sincerely indignant at the actions of the individual beings similar to themselves who were active persons in this terrifying process, namely at the action of those individuals similar to them, whom on this occasion they called, and still up to now call, Bolsheviks. In my opinion, it will do no harm here apropos to tell you that being experiencing of theirs, which is excellently characterized by the words vainly to grow sincerely indignant, also appears to be one of the unfortunate particularities of the psyche of these ill-fated three-brained beings who please you, especially of the contemporary ones. Thanks only to this physical abnormality, there gradually become more deranged in their common presences many functionings, both of their planetary body, already deranged without this, and of their body Kesdjan, if of course this second being body is already coated in them and has attained to the required what is called individuality. And such an abnormality of their psyche, namely vainly to grow indignant, or as they themselves say, vainly to grow agitated, also flows from this, that from their common presences there has already long since disappeared the being horizon, proper to be present in three-brained beings, as well as the instinctive sensing of reality in its real light. On account of the absence in their psyche of these two particularities, they could not even approximately suspect that individuals similar to themselves were in no way the cause of these terrifying processes there, and that these processes of their ill-fated planet proceed from two inevitable great causes. The first of these causes is just the cosmic law soli unensius, entirely independent of them, and the second cause, partly dependent on them, consists in this, that thanks to the totality of all the results of the abnormal conditions of ordinary being existence established by themselves, which still continue to be crystallized in their common presences, the data for bringing forth the sacred impulse conscience do not in general take part in any of them in the functioning of their ordinary waking state, in consequence of which the action of the first cause takes just this terrible form. They, as I've already said, could not even approximately consider and understand that during these common planetary terrifying processes, individual persons are in no way the cause, and only by chance happen to be in those posts, the occupation of which, on account of the conditions of mutual existence which had already been established, compels them to manifest themselves in one or other role, the results of which roles, according to law conformity entirely independent of them themselves, are cast into these or other forms. In the heat of this last process of theirs, namely during the Russian Bolshevism, the contemporary beings of other communities grew very sincerely agitated, when the beings who by chance had become, as it were, active in this distressing process, gave orders to other ordinary beings, as it is said, to shoot any Tom, Dick, or Harry. For the clarity of my further explanation concerning these terrifying processes of your unfortunate favorites, you must be further told about this, that this last process proceeded and until today continues to proceed on a large area of the surface of this ill-fated planet, and that during recent times these favorites of yours have very greatly increased in quantity. If, therefore, we compare the quantity of the contemporary three-brained beings who have been destroyed during this last process with those destroyed in the previous process, then this last process will indeed seem child's play. In order that you may better understand this and compare those former processes with this contemporary Bolshevism, I will now give you a couple of little scenes from former history, from, let us say, the Egypt I have already mentioned. When, in one of the intervals between the dynasties of these Egyptian pharaohs or kings, there proceeded in Egypt a process such as this contemporary Bolshevism, the chief committee of the revolutionaries announced to all the population of that country, among other things,